What's up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki coming at you with another Church of MHA episode. We're going from My Hero Academia, chapter 402, live reaction and discussion, of course, after that. Now, where we left off was All Might telling All for One to do his worst. Is that the best advice All Might has given All for One? No. Should it make for an interesting read? Yes. Yes, it should. This is a case of if you really feel like doing that All Might, then that's all you, but I don't recommend. So that's where we left off. Let's get this in the Discord, of course. We got Tyler. I can't believe we've done this, and MK the baby already in the chat. Appreciate you for being here. I mean, it's sound advice if you want the villain to win. Set himself up for the okie doke. I don't know. Me personally, if I'm in All Might's position, I'm hitting him with a, so you need quirks to finish me off. You couldn't handle me without using like a bunch of other people's powers. Oh, looks like you still need help. I thought you were supposed to be the demon lord. Look at you relying on everybody else, though. More like a 10 out of 10 chapter. Okay, Denzel. Actually, somebody saw, I was, what up, True Star? I was on Facebook and somebody was like, man, seeing these JJK spoilers and these My Hero spoilers in the same night has me depressed. What up, S Little? Uh-oh. That's the baby. Give me that baby. They were like, oh, this has depressed me, which makes me feel like something bad is going to happen. But I kind of want something bad to happen. Oh, let me get this off the camera. Hey, look, just because All Might got messed up lungs doesn't mean he should be a little more creative with how he taunts people, okay? Yeah, look at you, you the little baby. I see that smile. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the chapter. Who's that baby? Okay. Chapter 402. Ain't that right, GB? Yeah. All right. Okay. We're going back to the comm center. We haven't been here in a while, so that makes sense. Dabi has been neutralized. We can now confirm the refugee's safety. Shoto's mission was a success. And then Toga has stopped doubling. The clones are disappearing. And then the Twices are vanishing. Okay, so we get confirmation that Momo was out here with the Blickies to deal with the Twices. The excess weight is gone. The school can remain airborne. All right, so I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Based on everything that was happening in the last chapter and the chapter before that, and how we were building up, 2 to 3 pages of good news sounds like something real awful is about to happen. We don't see. This is just the vibes that I'm getting. This feels like a setup, like you're trying to set your audience up. At that moment, All for One is nearing Tomura Shigaraki. He's within range to use his Gloop Warp. You see them. Since descending from UA, Midoriya has managed to dodge Shigaraki's point blank attacks, thereby maintaining this stalemate, the Gloop Warp. Also, I kind of do hope we get like a little extra scenes in this fight. Since descending from UA, Midoriya's managed to dodge Shigaraki's point blank attacks. Oh, snap. The Gloop Warp. The moment I injected myself with the rewind shot. Okay. My computer's having some issues. Just randomly close some windows. What's going on here? What's going on here? A little weird. I'll just start to turn it off. All right. What the hell is going on? It's alarming. Oh, are we good? Are we good? All right. Second monitor's back on. That was a little weird. The moment I injected myself with the rewind shot, this exact spot became my destination. By granting Tomura the duplicate of my copy of my quirk, he will become a version of me that surpasses even myself. Not yet. Need to stay glued to him. That all you got off of one? So he's dragging himself. Okay, he does still technically have both arms. Cool. Finally got that hard confirmation. Here's how I'll smoothly perform the transfer without the risk of any meddling by Midoriya and One for All. Come now, Tomura Shigaraki. Master, don't butt in. Ah, now he knows. The gloop. So you can swallow the gloop and it'll stop you from teleporting? I wonder if this is you can swallow the gloop and not teleport, or Shigaraki being built different. I'm leaning more towards the latter. Alas, my other consciousness must have been swallowed up. Well, no matter. I'll have to do the legwork myself. Hey, look. Whoa. Yo. The look on All for One's face. Is that a pukey baby? Oh, it's a poopy baby. Yes, keep that pathetic look on your face and take responsibility as you dream for the dreams you filled the youngsters' silly little heads with. Man. Hey, yo, that's the rain quirk. You telling me he went and defiled Majestic's corpse for that quirk? And he's glowing again. Better go save Almighty Zuka Midoriya. This is perfect, actually. Go on, I don't mind. In the meantime, I'll head back to those jerks who hurt me over and over and break every last one of them. Ooh. I'll use this very hand to shape my own fate. I'll be there changing fate by your side. Ooh, I thought I'd put my cheerful days behind me, but now I'm fighting to hold my tears back once again. But you gotta quit being a crybaby to be the best apprentice I can be. The One for All vestige signaled its departure within Izuku Midoriya slightly in advance. All Might. Can someone without a quirk become a hero like you? You can. Because you're someone who gives his all every time. Someone who could never let his dream die. I also can't abandon my dream to be the symbol of peace. And then we see him give him a hug. Well, take care of him for me, Sorahiko. Help him see his dreams are fulfilled. We'll get that flashback. Why am I suddenly recalling Nana Shimura's final moments? Why now? That fool of a woman put her ideals first without the power to back them up. And then she died such a pathetic death. All for one, you will fall to All Might without a doubt, because this man, he's willing to. Toshinori is even more unhinged than you are. After this death, maybe you'll turn into a little kindergartner again. It's truly the Chad All Might versus the Virgin All for One. Whew. All right, let me go get the invites in for the people. Let me get the people involved. The people deserve their invites. Cause bruh. So Tyler, you saying that just made me think of that tweet all over again. That was live stream. No, because so I'm gonna address that real quick, Cameron Bailey. Getting the message that you can be a hero without a quirk out of this particular chapter, especially, is the wrong message by miles. Like by miles. Because while the most heroic trait that a person, like the trait that people have to have in order to be a hero is a willingness to commit self-sacrifice, just being willing to die does not a good hero make. Like there's a difference. There's a difference between what up, Thomas?
Hello.
Saving people and giving your life up, and then having to give your life up to buy time to save people. There's a very strong distinction between those two. And a quirkless hero, no matter who they are, is going to fall rather quickly. And it's actually because of something that All For One said earlier in this, which is that technology cannot go plus ultra. And what up, Tunisia? I was reading the chapter. What up, Joseph?
Man. Oh, this chapter. This is probably my favorite chapter in the past few weeks. Like, it's genuinely that good. And I feel like Hori has been fucking with me because he knows I'm an emotional person. And he gave me the last bit of this content, the last bit of this chapter to fuck with me. I swear.
Look, what I love about this is, first off, I cannot tell if Horikoshi did not complete that last shot of All Might, or if he just went extra hard with the hatching and all this other stuff to just like make it look extra sketchy to showcase the bright lighting from the exploding gauntlet. I don't know which one he's doing here.
I'm pretty sure that's the point. So I think you're spot on.
But I don't care, because it might be my new #1 panel in the manga.
Really?
The last #1 was the spread of like Bakugo and Ida and Mirio and Nijiri with the Nomus and Genus all like posted up. That was my old #1. But this might be my new #1.
I don't
this
think
might be my #1 panel in the manga.
The panel where All Might kind of like flips himself up and like holds onto All For One.
The one where he's
and that
dying.
face is so fucking good. But that too. The Toshinori is even more unhinged.
Yes. Especially I like the choice of using the word unhinged, because that's one of my favorite ones to use in day.
That's your favorite word?
That's one of my favorite words. Yes,
I love that.
It's unhinged.
But can I talk about the chapter for like a few seconds? Okay, so
speak, King.
Oh, thank you so much. Like everyone knows, let's just talk about Deku, the ghost, the greatest character in this manga. No one doing it like him, right? In all seriousness, it's genuinely heartbreaking to see Deku like this. Like we have him in this perfect example of a rock and a hard place, right? It's like the Simpsons movie where Homer's going back and forth. He can go save his teacher, his father figure, and the person he grew up admiring, with the result of that being that his friends and the innocent at UA will, perish. Or he can go save All Might, or not save All Might, mind you, by continuing to save or fight Shigaraki, which in turn keeps everyone at UA safe. So there's no winning here before that explosion. And now that we have that explosion, I genuinely like this has to be the end. especially with All Might's vestige kind of going, peace, I'm out.
Like,
there's no going back, at least to me personally.
So what this also says to me, remember what I said? I was like, I don't think we get Bakugo back until after
All
this
Might's gone,
happens. Yes.
especially because we have him using the Bakugo quirk
Yes.
on All For One. Like the whole,
And
we'll wait until Bakugo
you
wakes up for that, or he
you-
does it.
You remember what I said? I was like, he hasn't used Bakugos yet, and it might just be like a. I said it. I told you guys this might be what it's used for. You want to come hang out with Dad? Come
Let's
here.
go.
Come here, little baby. Come here. Yeah, that's my
Oh, look at her.
It's a dancing baby.
Also, that everyone's saying stress builds character. I know it still hurts.
Man. So I don't like, and the thing is that because All For One's getting blown up here, I do think he's genuinely going to regress quite a bit.
Oh, for sure.
If he even manages to be put back together on them Humpty Dumpty vibes, he's it's gonna take a lot. That's all I can really say is like he's not gonna just be waltzing up with a lot of power. Hey, little baby, how you doing? Got a fistful of my hair and another hand on the helmet or the earphones. But
I do think like what All Might said about like after this death, you'll turn into a little kindergartner, right?
yeah,
I think that is true. He will become what? Is that 4?
let's see. Can't Stop Twinkling Laser did a lot.
No, as in like, is that the age 4 that kindergartners?
4 or 5.
So
6
does
if
that,
your birthday's at the right time.
is that not at the right age for quirk?
Manifestation, yeah.
The manifestation. So we possibly could see an All For One without All For One.
I mean, I wonder about that if he would rewind far enough that he starts to lose all of his quirks. I don't know if it'll go down that way or not, though. Because if quirks are exceptions or not to time, because you still have the genetic expression, right? So I guess so the question becomes, I guess that's when we'll really get the backstory for All For One. Because if we find out that he like was born with All For One and was actually from China the whole time, then it'll kind of make even more sense. Because like part of it is like, how do we justify the level of main character syndrome that All For One has? And if he was thought of as the first quirk baby, that would go a long way. Hey, little baby, dancing, dancing. But I want to know how you guys feel about Shigaraki. I don't know how you feel about Shigaraki, especially because the way he phrased that, he was like, I could like. I guess you could argue that since the All For One voice was doing more of the talking, that's why he was like kind of being all blustery. But he's like, those guys hurt me a bunch of times, so I'm gonna go fuck them up. Don't save All Might. Go ahead, buddy.
It's my turn.
We can reconvene after we get done beating up people who have caused us problems.
It's gonna be a 5-minute break. You can go off there. I'll be right back. We'll meet right here. I do like how this chapter also gave us like answers to questions that the fandom has had for maybe over a year. Like, why was All For One going to Shigaraki? What was All For One's goal with Shigaraki? And we know here, like straight up, he just wants to give his quirk to him. So,
I mean, he kind of said that back when Endeavor was still at the battlefield. He was like, and he said he was going to override it or whatever, which I still think it's weird that he just assumed he would be able to completely override Shigaraki's personality. And then here he also seems okay with his, like, he's like, oh, okay, I guess my consciousness got erased. So I'm trying to figure out if this is a case of, you remember back when he was talking to Dobby where he was like, I have multiple plans, not just one plan. And he was like, if one of my plans works, all right, if it doesn't, there's another way to do it. Because when he says he wanted, because he like when he didn't give Shigaraki Genius quirk, it was because the quirk didn't match Shigaraki's personality.
Mhm.
That was the directly stated reason. But then we have him talking like he never intended for Shigaraki to have control of his body. And it's like, okay, so which one is it? Is it that you planned on both scenarios and you were happy with either outcome? Because I just want that like explored and emphasized within his character if that's the case.
Mhm.
Hey. Nosy.
Also, the something that like has been like bothering me for like a while, right? Ever since like joint training where we got to see like Deku can have more quirks, he can have vestiges within him. It was, are they gonna stay with Deku for the entirety of like his hero career until he passes away? But it seems like something that's going to be sad is like they're all going to say goodbye to him.
Have you seen Parasite the Maxim?
I've watched, it's the anime, right?
Yeah, with the the Migi.
Yeah, I watched like maybe a few episodes.
Okay, well, never mind. I don't.
No, you can talk about it.
No, I was gonna explain it using that as an analog, and now I can't explain it without spoiling it.
I mean, I don't really care about those spoilers. It kind of, I want to say bored me, but I don't really have the drive to continue.
So if you're not gonna go back, then like
yes,
by the end of the series, Migi basically decides to go dormant and like hibernate, and like he's still gonna be there, but it's like he's going into a state of super unconsciousness as far as he can tell, like a deep hibernation. So that's kind of where I see the messages going. It's like just they'd be there technically, but they're so deep within the consciousness that he may not interact with them again unless he deliberately reaches out to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I need some advice, or this is from so-and-so's era, and then just to reach out to them that way.
Like Ag looking for guidance from the past avatars.
But like with the mix of like what happened with Korra, where they'll be pretty far away. So
I get that. Also, hey Joseph.
Hi. If I had a nickel for every time an anime character voiced by Chris Sabat blew himself up to try to stop great evil, I would have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's kind of weird that it happened twice.
Actually, that's true, actually. But you said now all night.
Yeah, did you see that thing I sent you yesterday?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I watched it as I was like passing out.
Yeah.
It's great, by the way.
Yeah, I need to update it because like I said in the message, like I just did the audio and I wasn't really feeling it. So I did the images from the scans just to see if it worked better with the images, and it did. Yeah. So I need to fix that as soon as I get a chance.
Oh my no! Oh my yes!
Look, personally, I kind of want Seth and Kendra to show up, but I don't know if they will. Just because I kind of want to get their thoughts on this. Also, good to see that Deku was able to kind of spam that black with chain link.
Yes,
just another small detail.
Black chain. Agreed.
Yeah, such a great move.
It is.
So I wanted to ask you guys about this just because like seeing that happen. Do you guys think that Shigaraki was stopping the glute quirk because anybody can just kind of swallow the disgusting tasting glute and stop it? Or do you think that was just the case of it being built different?
I think
being built different.
I think it's both.
Like, so you think anybody could do it, but only Shigaraki, like anybody could do it, but the condition is so hard that they can't.
Oh no, I just mean like it's probably like I would like to believe it's the first part, but I also kind of fuck with it's only Shigaraki. So
because based on like how big his throat bulge is, it's like if you swallow all of that a lot of people might not be able to even do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it takes like a lot of willpower, and he just has that,
and the body, and the throat to
Yeah.
survive. Because it's like filling a balloon up with water. Like it's going to explode.
So are you saying that he's a throat goat?
Yeah, I said that. I said that in the Viz officials. He is the throat goat. Hey, Bulk.
Hey, what up, Brother De La Cruz? Oh, Volk's already in the building.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Volk.
God damn it, you were right. Yeah, the freaking bomb. So that's why he didn't use Bakugo's quirk. Oh man. Okay. Couple things I want to note off the top. We've arrived at the same amount of chapters that Haikyuu had.
Oh,
402 for Haikyuu, 402 for MHA. But of course, because of the length of MHA chapters, Haikyuu is still going to end up the longer series because for Date, I don't think people really see how hard Furudate worked. Like he took like 2 breaks in his entire run across 8 years, and he kept pumping out like full length 19-page chapters. Incredible. But anyway,
I'd argue the art never became inconsistent too.
oh, Haikyuu art is great.
Yep.
But anyway, back to MHA. So a couple of things I want to note about this chapter. Very first and foremost, of course, like the big All Might sacrifice moment is like, it's been the question is like, is he gonna be there to see Deku do his big I'm here moment? And he could be saved next week. I mean, in 2 weeks, because we're on break.
yep.
He could very much be saved because we don't see the aftermath of the explosion. However, the one thing that makes me think this is the end is the vestige.
Mhm.
Because the narration explains it retreated. Like it just, it's not, I don't think the vestige is gone, but I think it prepared itself very much to receive All Might's spirit. Oh man. Oh, it's really hitting me.
So I think it's gonna become like a solid, like the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Another thing, All Might's fight against All For One took roughly 20 minutes, which means I think Deku's been fighting Shigaraki for about 30. Because remember, we zoomed back after, Chaka dealt with the clones, and it's like, okay, well, 20 minutes before the clones started vanishing. So right now, Chaka's on the ground, Shoto's on the ground. After all that happened, I think we are officially 30 minutes into the future. We're caught up. And God.
This
Like,
also clocks
really
us what Deku's longest battle.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
so this is one of those things that like was kind of a shonen buck. It's very rare when you have fights in My Hero that like damn, that's like a 20 chapter fight. These niggas have been fighting forever.
They've been fighting since chapter 379.
Yeah, it's very rare when you do that in MHA. And part of that is because MHA, even though like if you sit around and you do actual counts for it and all kinds of other stuff, blah, 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 it actually does scale aggressively high due to like shit like Aoyama's laser, if you want to be as disingenuous as the average power scaler. But
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like I think a fair few in MHA's world could very much hold up fairly well against other, like, okay, like let's take for example, I've seen sometimes like people say like, oh, JoJo stands absolutely wreck MHA characters. I'm like, Jotaro nearly got owned by a fucking rat. Like, are we reading the same fucking series? So it's like, I think as far as power scaling goes, like MHA is a fair bit more powerful than people want to admit. Like even looking at Deku's abilities right now, let's see what he's got. He's got strength, I think exceeds Spider-Man right now. He's got Black Whip, which is very, very versatile, still vulnerable to being cut. He's got Danger Sense, which is not quite as powerful as Spider Sense, but as far as like direct combat scenarios, it works. It works well enough. Fajin, which has arguably been his most useful power aside from Gear Shift in this final arc. Gear Shift, which of course is just crazy hacks, like this is Deku using gear shift when it's like the most new to him. That 5-minute limit is going to keep increasing over his hero career. You might see him like use that for like 30 minutes, no sweat, when he's pro. And then lastly, Fajin. Which is
Fajin is the most egregious, crazy ass.
no, wait, not Fajin. I already listed that.
Smoke screen.
Smoke screen and float.
Smoke, which is whatever, but it's a useful supplement. And then Flight, which is pretty much the perfect counter to Shigaraki.
Because the thing about My Hero that I find funny is that a lot of people, when they do scale, they go like, well, if you create this much force, you have to be able to, like, you know, withstand it. And it's like, no, a lot of series don't actually care about that snippet of physics. Whereas we got proof that My Hero actually does adhere to that bit of physics, which makes their scaling a lot more accurate than if you scale a lot of other series. Like, well, they made a big explosion, so their body can handle a big explosion. It's like, no, they can't. No, they can't. We've seen them get blown up before and almost beat you.
Compared to like series like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, you have to give a lot of characters like leeway in power scaling debates. Like, for example, people were scaling the Hashira. No, not is it Hashira? Yeah, the Hashira versus like the heroes, right? And they brought up Mitsuri. And it's like, oh, Mitsuri is able to, you know, dodge electricity, and then she gets tagged by it, and then she gets tagged by sound. It's just, you have to be not consistent. Well, to be fair,
Another thing
the
about
feats are inconsistent.
another thing about MHA that's important is like All Might straight up says, it's like, look, you can't be an effective hero without some kind of power. So like right there, that's a roadblock. And the Hashira, Gotage infamously confirmed this. They don't actually have any kind of powers. They're just dudes with swords.
And they breed in.
Yeah.
And then there's more, but we won't get into that.
I mean,
insert Samuel L. Jackson Avengers clip here.
it's a very kind of very weeby kind of mindset to like look at all these different characters and just like kind of focus on like, oh, the power scaling. But it's like, I've seen some people say stuff that I think is more so directed at like dislike for the MHA fandom than it is rather than being honest about the power scaling, you know?
Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. But I do want to say that, how do you guys feel about anybody investing in the copium stocks that Bakugo is saving All Might, and it's not All Might blowing himself up here? Anybody want to invest in those copium stocks?
Someone mentioned it in the chat, and I'm like,
that's why I'm running it through here now.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, you know, bring it up, but I didn't want to, you know, interrupt. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Like it's pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's because then they say like Bakugo's explosion, not All Might's, but it's clear as day. He has like like his own version of like, you know, those like gauntlets that like wrap around his arms. I'm pretty sure that is All Might. 99% sure.
Are you bringing that up, Aniki? Are you bringing that up because of this latest kind of discourse about what Bakugo is going to do in this
latest?
Oh no, somebody brought it up in the chat, so I was just curious. Yeah. I also think that it not being All Might would undercut the whole point of the Nana page.
Yeah.
And the vestige page.
I think this is very different from Bakugo's death, because Bakugo was like, I mean, you brought this up before, Aniki. He was unlocking like the upper tiers of his quirk finally. He was finally learning to like, you know, put others before himself. And it was just kind of not Horikoshi's style to be like, hey, look, I'm gonna kill off a kid, which
after tapping into like what would be starting the final bits of their conclusion to their character arc. We're just going to skip actually seeing all of that in action, and we're just going to go like, well, he was starting to get good. Bye.
Yeah, All Might's arc has been like it's been about like, okay, what can he do even without any powers, right? So it's like And the answer is like, well, you were still All Might because of who you were. It's like it wasn't one for all. So again, he calls in all these different favors and he gets the suit. And I know the suit is a point of contention among readers, and I very much understand why, but
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
be real with you. The suit is a literacy check.
yeah,
Did you could take the context and like it's like, did you contextualize why All Might was able to do this? Yes, then you'll be like, well, Deku would have been able to do that shit as a kid anyway. No, this proves Deku could have been the hero quirkless. Those are the two paths you're going down. Can you read? Yes. Let's find out.
You know what's funny?
Well-
Someone said the exact same thing in like the opposite of what you said. And I remember I saw the tweet and I saw the view.
Because like, if
it's
you
like-
see rich ass All Might with 40 years of connections getting to buy an Iron Man suit, and you're like, yeah, this proves Deku at 16 could have been a hero with no quirk. In this story could go exactly the same way. You're fucking illiterate.
yeah. The all like the thing with All Might is like, I don't think people like Horikoshi doesn't bring it up because like just shoving money in your face is kind of like it would just come off as kind of weird, but and kind of go against All Might's more humble image. But he's probably a freaking billionaire. I know.
Yeah.
How much merch did Zuko own? I mean,
He's the George Lucas of the hero world. He put all his stocks in the merch. He gets all that money. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I found a tweet. The one thing this fight gave us was a clear litmus test to see who actually understands the themes of the series and who's just reading it for the cool and hype moments. Iron Might is a generational character assassination, but people letting it slide because the fight goes hard. We're so finished.
Good morning.
Yeah, they can't read.
Hey Seth.
Hey, Seth, how you doing?
Hi. Fine, thank you. Good morning, little one.
Mhm.
Whoop.
Everyone having fun this Sunday?
Yes.
No, because
I was
oh my
wondering.
god.
I'm wondering if
Nope.
you are having fun this Sunday, Seth.
Oh yes, I am having a blast, you could say. Just feeling
soon.
so much anticipation for next week. I really
Is it
well,
good?
wait, no, 2 weeks. Shoot. Oh well.
Is it gonna blow out of you per se?
Too
Oh.
soon.
My mind cannot be contained at this point. No, this is going to be really fun. I can't wait. Like this is a really fun cliffhanger for me because like I know it's like I know we're getting something, in 2 weeks and I can't wait. So I'm just really excited. But yeah, no, this was cool. It was really fun all around. All for One being just he's writing it right now, just having the time of his life. He's getting ready to have his master plans fulfilled, only for All Might and of course probably someone else to mess everything up.
It's not even that. Like I find like as time has gone on, it's like the more Shigaraki resists, it's like it just does not look possible for AFO to even accomplish his plan. Like even if he had brought Shiggy to him or whatever.
No, that was the funniest and yet most epic thing I'd seen this chapter, quite honestly. Just Shigaraki saying nope and just gulping it down.
He gulped that all down. And that thing
funny.
stinks. So it's like
Yeah.
so he
Sure.
basically like swallowed a bunch of tar.
Based on how Toga made it sound like it was a bunch of toilet water as far as the scent went.
Let's be
Hey,
grateful it didn't, come out where Twice was complaining about.
Hey you.
Uh,
Oh, make the pressure. Oh.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now, it's like, oh, like, okay, here's the crazy thing. All this crazy stuff has happened. Like, Shoto versus Dabi, that final thing happened. We had a Chaka versus Toga. We just had All Might versus All for One. We still don't know what Sarah's gonna do. Like he teased that at the start of this whole final act, and we still have not seen what Sarah's gonna do. So it's like, if that is coming after all of this, it better be the most insane hype thing ever. I'm honestly getting pretty excited because I'm gonna be honest, this is probably looking to be the strongest finish for a Jump series we've had in a long time.
Honestly, though,
Probably since IQ.
like
I was gonna say
I
probably
was
since
gonna
IQ.
ask because like I haven't actually finished like too many series like other than ones that got like cut short because they're canceled, but like the only other like long-term ones that I've finished were Vigilantes and Demon Slayer, and those two didn't quite stick the landing for me personally.
Yeah.
yeah, Vigilantes I think did what it could. I think just the middle being rather weak is why you don't have as strong a finale. I think it did what it could, but I mean, it's what it is.
It was nice, but I pretty much agree with you. Like, there's a lot of that middle part that I'm going to be honest does not need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Vigilantes was a little, and I do mean only a little hamstrung, because they had to make sure it didn't do any like outright lore breaking things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I liked its utilization in the early parts of like Ingenium and some of the other steps, because it was like, this doesn't break lore.
The
Gives
author
us some extra context.
The author wanted to do a kaiju series, which is very clear by the quirks he puts in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or
And
Naruto, quite frankly, also is like a kaiju series.
I'll be honest and say that like the final battle was a little long, and I think it would have been probably better served just giving Koichi some more fights and stuff that let him level up without it, and like so we could see like the finalization of some of those techniques in that battle instead of it being like he gets this crazy power up towards the end of the series. But
Or maybe he gets more allies along the way that, literally help him out throughout this fight or that
Yeah.
final fight, instead of like just the very few amount of people who are actually capable of fighting.
I just want Skycrawler to show up in MHA already.
I've been wanting that, and
I
haven't been getting
man.
it.
Okay, there's a
No.
few things I want for this final stretch. I definitely want Skycrawler to appear, both because I want to see Koichi, I want to see it tie into Vigilantes, but I also want things to go on long enough that we reach 42 volumes, because that's going to mean a couple things. One, that means we reach the 10th anniversary inevitably, with like taking breaks every 3 to 4 chapters, and all the other magazine ordained breaks and all that other stuff. If we have another 3 or so volumes of content, that means we stretch into a full 10-year anniversary, and that would be a big accomplishment, because I think it would be the first series since Bleach to do that, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. I believe JJK started in 2018.
Haikyuu ended after 8 years.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a 10-year series in a while. So
Yeah.
I think it would. And I
Volume
think Jump would like
42
it
would
too.
tie with Dragon Ball, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It would have the same amount of volumes Dragon Ball has, which, like I've talked about this before, MHA takes very direct inspiration from Dragon Ball specifically. Like, I know a lot of shonen series do, but with MHA, like once you start seeing some of the patterns, like Deku and All Might are basically Gohan and Goku. They're just put in a different series.
I mean, 100% One for All is essentially Super Saiyan. Also, hi Kendra.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Who's here?
Morning.
First of all, Tyler screaming at me to join the stream. I was busy doing stuff. I was going to catch this another time.
I was considering of DMing you on Twitter. I'm glad I held off.
Yeah, considering what this chapter entails, yeah, I'm speechless, really. This was crazy.
I wanted to see how you were doing with the the
Kendra, how
news.
do you feel about both of your idols being bodied within 2 weeks?
Bro, I am in shambles. Like, what the fuck is going on? Conspiring against me like this.
Look, sometimes Shonen Jump picks a fan and makes their life hard.
You unfortunately was the choice.
I've been suffering for like a week now.
So
Enough.
I have to ask
no,
you,
seriously, are we on like team live or die? How are we?
I
Like,
have
this
to
is a
ask-
cliffhanger is a thing. So
are you guys
I-
investing? I asked them earlier. I want to ask Seth and Kendra especially. Are you investing in the copium stock that is Bakugo's explosion and not All Might?
hopium
like that.
stock.
I like that.
Stock.
I would take that for 5,000.
Yeah, I know. I am like dead positive. Poor choice of. I'm positive that it'll be Bakugo showing up. Just
I like that much better.
Wait,
yeah,
dead
somebody.
ass?
Yeah, I like that way better. Yeah.
live ass. Live ass. But yes.
Yes, yes, yeah. I'm for that because this. Dang it, I don't know what I was expecting, but not this.
Just the look on Deku's face is so
Yeah.
strong. Like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, Horikoshi is
Yeah.
letting him have it.
truly. Why must you make my son suffer?
I ask Corey that every day.
No, the vestige leaving early is like, okay, no, I think something is up. I
Yeah.
can't not think something is up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And like and just ending it on like All Might hasn't even declared Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite or anything for his tech, which obviously it's not exactly the situation for it. He's about to, but like now is the time for Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. Like
I
Mhm.
mean, I'm pretty sure the explosion's faster than him saying it.
I know, but still,
Eh,
someone has got to
God.
show up and say it.
Man, I want to believe he can live, but at the same time, it's like he was very clearly gearing up for like the kamikaze moment himself.
Obviously,
But
yeah.
I feel like for
Right.
Bakugo to just come in last second, that kind of makes
Yep.
it. That just makes it feel kind of. That feels extremely convenient.
Well, no, it depends on how it's cut, I guess. Like whatever scene, because like we've had it before where the cliffhanger is a scene that's like later than like the events that actually happen between it. It's kind of awkward, I agree. But no, I I do see All Might dying. I do. I know that's possible, like entirely, but I am also on hopium. Like but yeah, no, I agree. This really could be his end. And that would be fine. He is doing everything he can to fulfill his arc and help Deku. Like for me, this is like literally All Might in character. So yes,
Yeah,
but
I feel like here's the thing with the explosion. It does not make sense for Bakugo to hit All Might 2 for where we're at. Because it's been very much stressed that like Bakugo takes special care with his explosions now to not hit any civilians or innocent people. Like he focuses fire on very specific points. So I don't feel he would fire at All Might, honestly. Like when he's that close. And All Might wouldn't like wrap himself around All for One in a bear hug to make sure that he couldn't.
Which, by the way, All Might's training actually paid off because that's a flexible like get up.
oh yeah, no, he just did a crunch while upside down, being going however fast All for One was going in that wind speed. Like, oh no, he is still him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
do-
think that counts
I
as
do
a full
feel-
sit-up. That's more than a crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do feel bad for Bakugo because like when Bakugo was about to go out, he said, "Damn, I didn't get you to sign my card," and now he you know, he may never get that when he wakes up.
Yeah.
Gets to sign it in the afterlife or something.
Well,
So-
no, they do a like flyby where Spirit Bakugo is coming back and Spirit All Might is leaving, and it's just
Oh, for God's sake.
yeah, I'm not.
No, unironically, that's where I think that I think Bakugo gets a farewell in the afterlife type thing.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
because Horikoshi has quietly been like, you can't keep pretending the movies aren't canon throughout the last arc, just slipped random stuff in. So you can
He
kind of
loves
look
the
at
series too much.
you can kind of look at Bakugo seeing the vestige of All Might and the One for All sentience thing. Because like we've had like the sentience of One for All further emphasized the later the story has gotten, where at this point it's kind of like it's kind of telling you like, hey, this is a reference to that one moment Bakugo had it. This is the only person you can see. All right, bye. Because All Might's vestige is clearly unique, right? Because it either completely faded away because All Might died, or it's about to reset because All Might died. But we know All Might is the only one who infused One for All with a piece of his actual consciousness.
Yeah.
Which could mean there's always a piece of his mind in there, or it could mean as long as he's alive, his consciousness is connected to it.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to find out which one is the case.
Yeah, and that's a really cool, like, assuming All Might dies, like that vestige being in there was like the quote unquote plot armor for me, thinking that, okay, yeah, like before this fight started, Back was like, yeah, All Might's probably gonna die. Before I ingested Hopium, I'm like, you know what, that vestige being in there is like, okay, we won't really miss All Might and Deku moments because of that vestige, right? But if Horikoshi just takes that away for some reason, that's
For some reason, he said.
like, like, I mean, now what? You can't do that. You can't just take him away from Deku like that. That's no.
Right.
You can't keep getting away with this.
You can't take him from Deku. I hear you, Seth.
You don't understand. You don't you keep master and student together. That's how it works. you don't do this.
Look, do I think All Might is an amazing character? 100%. But it is because of my love for All Might that I'm willing to see him off and give him that big salute and say, farewell, soldier. You fought hard.
I mean, he's earned it.
That man will never rest. He will never find peace. As sad as it is, he cannot find peace alive. Like, All Might spent his entire life trying to make the world a better place. And the only way that he can really see that through is trying to finish the job here. Because ultimately, as long as he has the ability to spend money on gadgets and toys, guess what's going to happen? He'll be a chicken nugget wearing full prosthetics before he fully, truly retires. And we all know it.
I don't want to hear the word chicken nugget used in context anymore.
Like,
Like I get enough of that from the bird side of things. It's like not All Might too.
Oh.
God damn it.
Gonna walk into McDonald's, see a chicken nuggets, think of All Might.
How about you go up to the McDonald's counter, you say to the cashier, hey, I want 10 All Mights in a box. I know exactly what you want. They put in the
No.
order 10 chicken nuggets.
Oh my gosh.
I do think
Guys.
it's really poetic that like the one thing All Might uses is the explosion, and like the paneling when All for One is like reacting is very reminiscent of Deku's reaction to Nagant.
oh, yeah.
I think as well.
And Nagant
Which-
survived.
Yeah, but
Explosions don't kill people in MHA. Let's go.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
they do now.
No, they don't.
What I like about this, though, also is that All for One, to this day, truly does not understand that not everybody is as big a douche as he is. Like, he doesn't understand that not everybody is as selfish. And I'm sure some of us have met people before in our lives that you're like, I don't know, man, you're kind of a dick. And it's like, well, everybody's a dick, so like I'm just beating them to the punch. Or it's seen those people online that
yeah.
like live that
Fair enough.
selfishly.
Certain
that-
names I won't name.
Yeah.
So we've all seen and interacted with those kinds of people before, and like All For One is that guy. Like he's the it doesn't matter if I'm selfish because everybody's selfish.
Yeah.
All For One might as well have "Only God Can Judge Me" tattooed on his left butt cheek, except he sees himself as God, so he has "Only I Can Judge Me" tattooed on his butt cheek.
It's part
Like-
of it's part of why he keeps like going to Shigaraki, even though like all the signs are starting to point. It's like you're gonna die if you get there. Like he's just gonna kill you, right? Like I mean, like he swallowed down his like gloop warp like it was nothing. It's like, and All For One rewinding his quirk is becoming more and more unstable. He's not having as much control over his powers. Probably not even his own consciousness of All For One, the vestige, which was already noted to have been weaker because it's a copy, right? And Shigaraki already beat the more powerful version of that vestige, so it's like there's really no way for All For One to win here. But he keeps going forward because he just can't perceive that like he can truly lose, you know?
Mhm.
Let's see.
Like,
Go on.
okay, if All For One was really like into, like if All For One was following the plan that we originally thought he had, which was to build up Shigaraki specifically instead of like try to make himself Shigaraki through this whole weird process, it would have just kept zooming towards UA to help Shigaraki beat Deku, instead of just like try to assert control over him again.
Well, he did the gloop warp for that specific reason. I'm glad that came up, really. Just like he really did be like, okay, nope, I gotta calm down. Let's do this properly. Let's gloop around all of the distractions. And so, yeah, so I appreciated that part. But yeah, no, it also did directly confirm what his goal was, which again I appreciated, because I mean that was my assumption way back when during the Gunga fight, where he was talking about what he was going to do he was talking about needing to get to Shigaraki, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's probably going to inject his other quirk into him. But I don't know. I don't really have any complaints about how All For One is operated so far. I like flawed characters to a point, and I think that he has the power to back it up, all things considered. Like, he did literally run the gauntlet through like all of the heroes, including All Might, to get all the way to Deku, and he's still strong enough to be a threat at this stage.
Yeah.
So I mean, props enough to him. Like, it's easy to clown on him, but like he literally handled it. Like,
I think people forget that you don't have to like villains. And I think to a certain degree, we see a lot of villains who are egotistical as shit. Like Sasuke Aizen is one of the most beloved villains in anime, right? Like I don't think people would argue with me on that one. Does anybody want to argue against that?
Aizen drives me nuts, but he was a very fun villain. Yeah.
I hate Aizen's guts, but
Right.
yes, I understand
But,
this.
yeah, like people like to hate Aizen, but the thing about Aizen is that his arrogance was never a flaw within the story, really. Outside of like arguably in his big battle with Ichigo. And even then, I wouldn't say his arrogance is what cost him there. It was more like Ichigo was just fucking giga busted there. And there was just nothing he was going to be able to do. All For One is one of the first times a villain's like arrogance actually matters. Like a lot of times, protagonist character flaws have way more impact on the story than villain character flaws. But with All For One, his underestimations actually bite him in the ass. Like when Vegeta underestimated how powerful Cell would get if he absorbed 18, that heavily impacted the plot because Vegeta went from dog walking him to getting dog walked to now they have to have a whole tournament, do extra rounds in the hyperbolic time chamber, all this shit just because Vegeta was arrogant. So,
And Vegeta himself is not even the villain, technically.
like, Madara's arrogance, Madara is a great example of somebody who got to be like pretty arrogant and it didn't really cost him. In fact,
dude.
Madara's arrogance didn't cost him shit. It was purely Kishimoto giving him a giant FU. Like that's like the god of the
that
like,
still pisses me off, man. That was
Like-
that was such a shitty way to get his character out of there. And like what drives me nuts is like I've talked to Naruto fans after is like, oh well, you know, it's really not that bad after. It's like yes,
It is that bad.
yes, it fucking was. Don't try to lie just because. Anyway,
I mean,
Like-
I would say that the entire war arc is pretty bad, but never mind.
No, spit.
Okay,
no,
here's-
kind of
the
work.
here's
war arc
another-
has the war arc genuinely has some gems in it, like Shikamaru moments, but that's because
Obito
Shikamaru is
versus
one of the best
Kakashi.
characters. Obito versus Kakashi. Like there's some actual gems in the war arc, so I don't say it's all bad. It's just that there's some real grade A stinker moments just randomly dropped in there. Specifically, the shit that happened with Madara. Like it could have just been handled so much better.
here's another thing though. What MHA's final arc has kind of done that I don't think a lot of fans are really kind of prepared for is it has definitely taken a lot of focus off Deku. Because when you go to other war arcs, there's definitely a lot of more focus put on the MC. Like Naruto war arc, 60% of that is Naruto running around dealing with problems. Like he mops up so many different battlefields and he's sharing chakra and he's doing all this crazy shit. But it just gets to the point of being excessive where it's just like Naruto.
It's terrible.
Yeah, Naruto is just kind of cribbing on everybody's moments, and it very much becomes the Naruto and Sasuke show. It's just way too much. And what I've been trying to tell people with this final arc when they're like, "Oh, we don't get as much. We're not getting enough Deku stuff." I'm like, if Deku was on screen as much as you wanted him to, literally every other beat we've seen, every other battlefield, every other character moment would be way less remarkable about that because you have this giant Deku elephant constantly in the room flitting around, distracting you from that. So it's honestly way better that Deku has these very key moments. He had, like, he pops in here and there, and then his big moment is saved for the end, where nothing really interferes with that.
Also,
I'd argue it's better for Deku. Like, it's better to take breaks from Deku. So when we return, it's actually more engaging.
Yeah, we learned to
It's
miss
more
him.
exciting.
We learned to
Oh,
miss him.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge what's being said in the chat here. As you guys know, I have always said the 1,000-Year Blood War is hated more than it deserved because there's actually a lot of really good shit in it. And one of those things was Ichigo not being he's the main character, but he's not the only person getting focused. He's not running around from battlefield to battlefield, clutching every moment out. Where you see, like, yeah, people were talking about, like, the Bleach War, I think handled, yes, Ichigo was basically one of the strongest or the strongest fighter that the good guy side had, but he wasn't omnipresent. He wasn't everywhere, like, all over the battlefield, which obviously Shigaraki, like, Naruto has shadow clones, so it makes a bit more sense narratively for him to be able to pull it off. But he wasn't omnipotent. He wasn't just boom, 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 boom. We'll just have Ichigo go everywhere to solve all these problems, and that's how we'll win. Like, that wasn't the case, and I prefer that. Like, imagine if Deku, like, if the way that Horikoshi had set up the map instead was Deku, when leaving SeaWorld, had to go through Kamino to fight Dabi with Shoto for a little bit, then go through, like, no, that would suck. It would suck.
I remember that was discourse that people were like upset that, like, they were like, oh, Deku could pass by like Kamino he could pass by Gunga on the way to UA and then like help everyone. It's like, no, Deku has his priority and he trusts everyone around him, in like the actual heroes to do their job. And guess what? They did their job. Maybe not successfully for a lot of them, but we got to see their growth because Deku wasn't hand-fisted. Imagine plopping Deku, like, instead of Deku leaving SeaWorld, he was there alongside Uraraka and Toga, and we had their moment with Deku. It would have
Here's
felt
the-
less impactful.
Here's the thing: as much as people are annoyed with All for One, if Deku did the Naruto thing and he went from battlefield to battlefield, he ended up at Gunga, he would have to fight All for One like 10 fucking times with the way things are set up, and people would get really sick of it.
No,
That's-
yeah, that's exactly true. I think comparing it to how Kishimoto handled Naruto is entirely correct, because like that final war arc for me reading Naruto was so hard to read because of how ridiculous the power levels were.
It's,
Like,
it's not even that, dude. You want to know what my hottest take is? Naruto
What?
does not need to be 700 fucking chapters.
oh no, that's not a hot take. That's correct. Like, well, okay, I guess in the eyes of Twitter it might be a hot take, but like, no, seriously, like the core of Naruto's story and his character is that loneliness arc that he has and coming to grips with like his own purpose and such. And you don't need the level of world building and extra fodder characters to establish and carry that story. Like Naruto, it definitely is dragged out because it was popular, and I understand that. Okay, I do, but like in terms of a concise story and or a story that can be consistent all the way through, that was not it for me.
Yeah. For me, I think the most egregious parts are the 300 series of chapters and the 500 series of chapters for Naruto. There's a lot of stuff in there that you can really just cut down. I'm going to be honest. Like,
So what would
barely-
you? Oh, sorry. What would you say would be like a preferred number of chapters for Naruto then?
500.
500?
Yeah, 500.
400. So if you like trim it down and like remove like excessive content that
Remove the
didn't
bad
really need
stuff?
to be there. Yeah, remove the bad stuff, like
Yep.
reshape how he approached some arcs. Well, whether it's like the pain or anything before that, or character arcs. And I could say it would be like maybe 400, 450. I think that's perfect.
Like, because like I'm kind of like scattershot with all of the big three, but I'm least knowledgeable about Naruto, so I was just curious.
Well, what annoys me, I think, most about Naruto is just how extreme some of the characters end up being played up, particularly Sasuke. Like, just the degree at which he becomes a bad person, just straight up a bad person. Like, it's edgy. I get it. People like that. It sucks. I'm sorry. Like, Naruto and Sakura are giving their everything for this total asshole. And I can't get invested in that. And there isn't an interesting dynamic between Naruto and Sasuke either throughout the entirety of Shippuden, like until you finally get to the Naruto versus Sasuke fight, really, at the very end.
To be entirely fair there, that one was actually editor interference because Kishimoto actually wanted to spend more time in part one and build up Naruto and Sasuke's relationship more before jumping into part two.
That's sad.
But his editor told him, it's like,
Oh.
nah, we're kind of getting long in the tooth. You got to keep things moving here.
Yeah, that's sad. That is very sad.
I believe that was his. Oh, sorry, Kendra.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah.
Nah,
I
we
believe
need
that
to
was
focus.
yeah. I believe that was his editor. The one after the one that basically reshaped the series. I'm like, for those of you that don't know, Naruto was going to be very, very different. It's going to involve a bunch of animal teachers. Sasuke didn't even exist. Naruto was a very different character. He's more like a delinquent kind of than an orphan, I believe. And
Okay, not everything the editor did was wrong.
Yeah, no.
Not everything the editor. I
Basically,
like Sasuke
no.
a lot in part one.
Yeah.
Kishimoto's editor saved him from some weird decisions he was gonna make.
yeah,
But
it-
yeah, not everything was good for sure.
the editor made that series the hit that it was. Like, of course, Kishimoto came up with all of it, but like he basically told him what to do and what not to do. So
The editor kept him in check, it sounds like.
yeah.
Oh, I had no idea all of that was a part of
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
Okay, and I'll
Concerning like
sorry,
no,
Kendra,
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I was just gonna say that concerning the like Sasuke, I used to really like him during part 1 too, but the older I got, the more I just became indifferent to his character, where I don't really care about his character at all. It's just it is what it is. So I understand that sentiment a lot, self, because I don't care about that.
Yeah, it's like the funny thing about Naruto for me is, like I said, like I haven't read it, I haven't really watched it. For the longest time, I actually thought Madara was the final villain. Like I did not even hear about Kagura until I think until you brought it up on stream, Aniki, like a year ago.
Wow.
It's like no one talks about the actual final villain. That like it's all the hypes on Madara. So for the longest time, I thought he was actually the final villain.
Well, part of it is because
He
with
should have been.
Madara, you get when we're talking about like arrogant villains, Madara had one of the best one-man army moments in manga, like / anime, like especially if you look at the anime.
The two meteors, right?
That
Because
shit
I know
was
about
Yeah.
so hype.
Like, look, at least once a year, I end up rewatching Madara versus the Shinobi Alliance.
Watching him
it's
like power
Just
drive right
yes,
through them all.
the whole
Yeah.
20 minutes of him running through people, slapping explosive tags, and kicking people back into the crowds. All of it. I rewatch that like once a year at
He
least.
embarrassed
Like,
them.
Honestly, for such a long running show, Naruto has some super impressive animation. Like it's a really impressive production.
It does.
It's really impressive to look at. Story flits in and out, but what I'm basically saying is I think MHA has kind of corrected some mistakes from the past.
It's
And-
okay.
Okay.
Long way around.
Because
but
because we were talking about the arrogance of characters, and somebody did say, you want to answer like because somebody did ask me about Frieza. I do think Frieza paid for his arrogance. I think Cell got bailed out of his arrogance by the nature of his regeneration.
Yep.
Because Cell and he got bailed out of his arrogance by Gohan saying DNA. Because if Gohan had just waxed that man and been done with it the second he is Super Saiyan 2, you don't even kind of get a conversation about Cell being too arrogant for his own good. With Frieza, honestly, he could have just killed them all and been done with it. He baby raged to blow up the planet. There's a lot with that is like
the longest
guess
5
you could
minutes in
argue-
fiction.
Apparently, him saying 5 minutes wasn't canon, but
Okay.
it's still.
Wait, it's not?
Apparently, he didn't say that in the manga. I haven't
That's one of the
reread it.
best
Oh,
lines in the
wait.
manga.
So-
No, I'm kidding. I
Unless it's like a fan
I think it's
scan
fun.
translation.
Oh no, it's an anime thing. So like,
Oh, it's
to pad
anime?
time out. Yeah, because it's toy. But I have to double
Yeah.
check. Like I've heard people say that it wasn't actually real. And I haven't gone back to reread it yet to make sure.
I'm really right now. I'm really curious.
no, that ends up being more fun than not for me. Just it's ridiculous, but yeah, I know it's fun.
Oh, Anakin.
And real quick,
I'm further along into Air Gear. I'm right before Icky versus Ringo. What the hell's going on? Now we're getting to like now we're getting some like supernatural shit. Like
I told you it's magical roller derby, bro. Just enjoy the ride.
I'm really liking it. I'll say that much. They
Wait till
keep
Final
talking about-
Fantasy gets involved.
Yeah, they talk about the grand scale tournament, and I'm guessing that's the arc that's next, which I'm excited for. So
Cameron Bailey asked, "Hey, church question, but in the chapter is the explosion retcon because we see Nana being held up by the net. So does that mean AFO snapped her like a twig? So the
No.
explosion doesn't have to be retconned here. This is probably just post-explosion. Like he got his big attack off, blew a bunch of stuff up. She's got more damage in this shot than she had before when she like says go Toshinori. She doesn't have these slashes all over her face.
I mean, it could also be
So-
the opposite as well. Like he could have just beat on her for a bit, held her up, like he did the second user. She said those words, and he went boom.
Yeah.
Took her out.
So either way works. But yeah, not necessarily. I think it's funny that if you look, we don't get to see Awful One's face in the shot. Obviously, like he's kind of supposed to be far away, but Horikoshi kind of maintains that shadow face moment, just like he always does for Awful One back in the day. It's like he forgot, like, oh yeah, I showed up in his face, it's fine. Which this is your fault, Kendra, because I remember you were posting them Squidward reactions when Awful One's face dropped.
Was it? Oh,
Talking about some. Oh no! Yeah.
I was being funny. That was hilarious, though. I said, "Oh no," because everybody was like, "What? Now, what if he's hot?" I'm like, "Don't say that." And then it happened to be true.
Hold on. Is the panel of like Nana versus All for One? Is that from the All Might Rising chapter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
Did
Copy
they just
paste.
they just rip that and put it in?
Yep. I went back to it to check. Same
Oh,
panel.
you even see like the kind of square narration box at the bottom.
Awesome.
To be fair, I feel like a lot of people don't know it's a chapter. Like they probably just know the animation.
Yeah,
So I think this is a great choice.
Yeah, I actually I knew it had that short OVE. I didn't know there was an actual chapter about it either. Too,
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it makes sense because you see how like detailed that is, and like it, just nothing wrong with using what you already did, right?
Also, can we talk about how Horikoshi gets in his emotionally expressive bag the most with Awful One, it seems? Because who
I
has
think
looked
he's
as
just always in
happy?
his bag.
Oh
Like,
my god, when he's
who has
carrying
looked as-
all
like who have you
my,
seen look this happy in the entire series?
he's happy that he gets to drag him.
It's like Christmas for him. Like he thinks he's gonna get one for all. He thinks like he's got the two people. Well, okay, I don't think he necessarily hates Deku. He definitely hates All Might. I think he more like is apathetic towards Deku. Anyway, he has the person he hates most dragging along. He's about to steal one for all. He's about to kill his apprentice. He's about to install himself in Shigaraki's immortal body.
He's
Like,
having his best day as far as
Yeah.
he's concerned.
Like everything's coming up all for one.
He's like, oh, it never did this to me. I'm gonna do it to All Might and a drag.
It-
Happy.
Which is why it has to blow up in his face. Like
Literally.
Oh, and that's enough. So I will say that Awful One is also hit by what I call like the third Hokage effect, and like the Tsunade effect. Like you can call it the third or the fifth Hokage effect, which is that the portion of the story that we are consuming inherently requires him to be penalized for his flaws more. Because if we go back, 15 years in the world, and we got a story where somebody was going against the Awful One, they lose. Right? Like they just lose. Because All Might's fight with Awful One is like 6 years before current time. So if we go back that far, actually it might be like 7 years before current time, now that I think about it. But if we go back 10 years, 15 years, and somebody decides to take on Awful One, his arrogance doesn't matter. They just get folded. Like, we don't have and I use the Hokages as an example just because there are people who feel like Tsunade is a bad Hokage because the village got destroyed. But the village got destroyed not because of any of Tsunade's policies, not because Tsunade pissed off the wrong person, nothing like that. But because she was the Hokage, while Pain wanted to capture Naruto. That's it. And no village leader is going to say, yeah, here, take our nukes. And the same kind of applies for the third Hokage, who has like this 40-year tenure, where it's like, well, we need to put something to have happened in the past, but not so far back in the past that it doesn't make sense for it to be really removed from the plot. So we'll throw it in the third Hokage's ring. Need to have something. Throw it in the third Hokage's ring. It works for the plot. So like, All for One is finally meeting, like, he's just outdated. This is like the end of his era. So like we're watching the very end of a villain's career. So inherently, more mistakes have to be made. More suffering has to occur. Like, right? Like, you can't just be like, it was the end of his career. He did everything perfectly up until the end, and all of a sudden he just got his ass beaten. Done. It was done. He had no contingencies for getting punched in the face. It was crazy.
All Might says the equivalent of, I'm gonna end this whole man's whole career.
Yeah. Like, All Might fucked his career. Like, this is the, oh man, like, he's in his faker days. Which, if you're not a big fan of League of Legends pro scene, Faker hasn't won a world title since 2017. But unquestionably, between 2013 and 2017, arguably even into 2018, Faker was considered the best player in the world. Now people would say Chobi's better, people would say Showmaker might be better. Now you have people arguing whether or not Faker's the best currently, but his legacy is pretty solidly established. He's the only player in the world with 3 world championships. Will he get that 4th one this year? Who knows? But the point is that sometimes you just end up post-prime. It's like Michael Jordan is considered one of the best players of all time. People love to talk about the Bulls, his tenure on the Bulls, how much he was winning. How often do you hear people mention his time on the Washington Wizards?
This shows how much I know about basketball. I never know he was on the Wizards.
Yes. Jordan spent time on the Wizards.
Is that after the Bulls?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't win shit with them, but he was on the Wizards. And it's just not talked about. Same thing happens with so it's like this is All For One's time on the Wizards. He just so it's just like there's nothing to talk about for him. You know, All For One has to fall off eventually. Everybody has to fall off. And the thing that I will say, like, I really hope that we get a bit more of an exploration of All For One's character in regards to this, only because I really don't want it to be that All For One was retconned to be just a totally selfish asshole and had not actually accepted the idea that Shigaraki would take over if he gave him his quirk. That's the one thing I don't want to end up being the case as far as his relationship with Shigaraki is going, because it just makes that Kamino interaction so weird. Because I liked the idea of him having accepted his mortality. Like, I can get a quirk that extends my life, but I can't make sure that I just never die. So therefore, I will raise up my enemies, closest, one of like the things that matters most to one of my enemies, and make them carry on my legacy. That's one more fuck you to them, not from beyond the grave, but while they're in it.
Also, Aniki.
What's up?
So I went on a search, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if this is the official manga because it looks like this.
Okay.
But I found the panel with Goku and Frieza where he mentions 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Within 5 minutes, the core will explode on its own and Namek will be dust.
Hold on, I don't know what the fuck Toriyama was cooking.
I'll send this to you.
Let's see.
Where's your DMs?
I guess I could also do. Let's see. Also, I was Kagura watching this morning, and it was pretty Kagura watching.
Best manga.
I can't believe it. It's actually good.
Oh yeah, it is shaping up very well, actually.
I'm not even kidding. It's actually good. Okay. The first chapter was kind of awkward. A lot of the dialogue kind of sucked. Not kind of. It was really bad. But chapter 2 got more interesting. In this chapter, now that we're getting into more of an actual plot, aside from I wake up every morning filled with endless hatred.
I like that line. Is it campy? Yes, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny as fuck.
Well, I enjoyed it for similar reasons, I'll say. But anyway, now that we're past that, for those of you that haven't read it yet, we're very much entering into like we're seeing the larger picture bit by bit. Like
Yeah, they're kind of doing like an Arrow thing where they have flashbacks as they become relevant to what the current story is.
that, and this chapter kind of reminded me a bit of Leon the Professional, where
Yeah.
So for me, the big sell here is that we also got, because one of the things that I like was getting the vibe of, and I think it's kind of been established for sure, is that he is playing the role of what's called the straight man in a lot of comedies, where he's not supposed to be like he's not supposed to be the source of the comedy. He's the one that the comedy bounces off of.
He'll never say Sugoi.
Yeah, like he's not going to be the Sugoi and all that other good stuff. He's going to be the person who is like grounding the situations, and other people get to be goofy for it.
he's kind of, he's like the Zorro of the series. I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I think it's
Zorro can be goofy.
Except
I think
Zorro
the
has
genre
gags and
is-
stuff, but
Yeah.
He does,
that-
but like in general, Zorro is kind of like the one who grounds everybody on that.
Yeah.
I'd say he's like we kind of strayed away from goofy Zorro. Like I think the last time we've seen that in full extent was like before Wano.
I think he's closer to the genre of serious laughs,
Mhm.
where like characters are being really serious and over the top to the point of comedy. Like he like you're not gonna see. I don't think you're gonna see him be a goof. I think you're just gonna see him be so serious about such things that it's kind of ridiculous.
They're comically serious.
Yeah,
What-
it's comically serious. That's it.
One
So-
thing I'm also encouraged by is like I was kind of worried as like, okay, is this series going to be like all edge all the time? But no, it's showing a bit of a lighter side, which I'm enjoying, while also keeping things dark. Like it's having fun, which I think is important for a series like this.
Well, I'm kind of concerned in the supporting cast. I like this is around the time where you kind of need to see like strong character moments from people who aren't just the protagonist, because a protagonist of the story is in a limited position. Like their actual, like how Deku and Bakugo is the one who has to have the long dramatic character arc because Deku already has the heart of a hero. So like you need like a Joey Wheeler, someone who is like growing over the course of the series, kind of basically a
Oh, that
secondary layer of
reference.
investment.
I feel this this little girl character
Yes.
that just got introduced. I think she could be the one.
Could
That's
be.
what I was thinking.
It could be.
I
But what
just
concern-
got to her right now. I really like her dynamic with Chihiro because she manages to. She's our like way to see more his softer sides.
Yeah,
I like
and that's
that.
good. And that is good. Like alternatively, bringing out more variations of your main character is also good. So like this is still fine, but I do think you need like a strong supporting character, a deuteragonist, you could say, to the story as well.
Also, I will say that like as serious as he is, it's important that in his I Wake Up With Fresh Hate, this chapter also let us know that he does in fact have soft spots. So
Yeah.
that's the important part, is like they make sure to humanize him too.
Salome, we are
It's
talking
just
about
like,
Kagurabachi.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like Guts, standing by the window, peering up at the stars. He has a soft spot for kids.
But yeah, so it's important that we see that. Also, I just realized, Sukauchi just watched his best friend go boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like he was one of the few he entrusted with the secret. And like you see him tell him in Vigilante in a really funny exchange where like Sukaichi knew All Might before, but he didn't know he was Toshinori. So like when he meets Toshinori for the first time, he's constantly going off and like doing the Superman thing where he has to go bulk up, save the day, run back. And then after like this happens like 12 times, he's just like I know you're All Might.
In a way, like he kind of reminds me of like Superman's Lois Lane. I can
was
see
gonna
right
say
through
it.
it.
I was
like
I was about to say that. Oh my
it's
god.
like they're on dates, and then
Yeah.
Superman has to just go back and forth.
It's like I already knew you were All Might like the fourth time we had like coffee. Like
He had to,
you
he had
know,
to run, he had to run off suddenly. I put two and two together. I'm not an idiot.
or like Peter Parker with MJ in Far From Home.
I haven't seen Far From Home.
You've never watched Far From Home?
I have not
Huh?
watched it yet.
Damn.
All right,
Huh?
wife, we're watching Far From Home today.
Did you watch No Way Home?
Wait, no. I watched Far From Home. I didn't see No Way Home. There we
You
go.
never watched No Way
Again.
Home? Oh my
Right
god,
now,
you need to watch
you have something
that.
to fix. We have to end the stream early, and bye everyone on Tuesday.
Like-
we're making
Having a
Like,
watch party.
watch
Having a
it.
watch party.
You
Yeah.
gotta go watch that because that was my favorite Spider-Man movie.
We
Those
will
are honestly
quote unquote legally stream the movie for everyone.
We'll just all watch it in Discord.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here, let me see what it's streaming on. If it's streaming.
Believe it's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Stars, premium subscription. Because I think the Spider-Man movies are the only ones not on Disney Plus.
Yep. His
Oh, they moved it over to Stars?
It might have been a pre-existing contract.
Yep, it's because of the Disney's Sony ownership split.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, I'd have to buy or rent it.
Wait, Alvarez, are you calling No Way Home overrated?
No. Oh.
Overrated.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hey, sorry. It seems like the Zoom call keep going in and out.
Are you getting the DJ effect?
I guess so.
Oh,
But
I just
yeah.
heard it.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm gonna head on out. I have video games to finish. So
Oh, what are you
Kendra.
playing?
I'm playing Tales of Arise.
Yeah, I really like that
Nerd.
game.
I love this game. It is so much fun.
All right,
Okay,
what
So
are
I
your
haven't
final
played it in like
thoughts?
2 weeks. Huh?
What are your
Kendra,
final thoughts?
Final thoughts. The chapter was amazing. I am still in denial. You gotta show me his body or something, an arm, something to show me that he's really dead. And I'm hyped up on copium. I think Bakugo is gonna come and save the day, or at least save All Might. But we'll just have to see. And it
Right.
was a 10 out of 10 chapter.
So Kendra, you want to see proof that he is there and there and over there and over
Something.
there.
Show me something. 'Cause I don't.
Oh no! Oh no!
Show me something. I
scattered
don't.
around like Gurren's
I
fingers.
don't believe it.
Little bits of All Might.
Like I
Yeah.
said, like Sel said, Nagant blew up and she was fine. So you got to show me.
From all might to all pieces, huh?
No, you touch your mouth.
Sorry, you know what? That was
Main
wrong of me.
He
From the
Pieces
symbol
of
of peace to the
light.
symbol of pieces.
That was
Now-
Oh, no.
But for real though, I if it happens, I mean, I was already willing to accept that he would die in a way, even though I didn't want him to. So it is what it is. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah.
I hear
All
you.
right, you guys. Talk to you guys later.
Peace out.
Bye bye.
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 So
Okay. So I know we've been focusing on All Might all stream long, but there is one other thing I do want to draw attention to. It's Deku versus Shigaraki, and it's the fact that that fight has been at a stalemate for about 30 minutes.
yeah.
So, Annika, you know what I'm going to bring up. I feel like Deku is going to need something at the very
Oh.
last minute. In order
I
to
disagree.
win. In order to
I know
win.
what you're gonna say, and I don't think
Stop it.
I don't think it's coming.
I'm not saying that he's gonna get it. But I
Uh-huh.
do think this is where any last minute save or rule, more specifically, that
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Stripe
going
made
now.
is going to come into play.
So if there's a remnant or rule that Star and Stripe had, I mean, it's possible. I think that what's more likely is, and this is just my opinion on this, is like with the students at UA getting slowly freed up, that we might get some more, assistance from the team.
Mhm.
Granted, there's very few people who I feel like can actually do a lot in this situation, and most of the heavy hitters are down. So
It's
do have
Kaminari
war.
time, baby.
We
I
do
do
have
think-
whatever's going on with Aizawa and Kurogiri and President Mike.
I think Kaminari does need a moment. It would just be weird for him to only get a moment in the PLW, but I guess Aoyama didn't have a real moment in that war and he got one in this one, but
I feel
I
like
don't think there's a
Momo.
limit on moments.
I feel like Momo also deserves something a little bit more. Because
Like,
It was
besides
cool seeing her
confirmation, she
going
was-
all assault mode
Yeah.
on that. Like,
I was
however briefly.
I was a little bummed to see that kind of got off screen. Like I would have liked to have seen her in like Iron Momo mode.
Hey, I'm proud of her because she went from cannons to machine guns. She beat the allegations.
Also, it's a very small detail, but I do like that they made it a point to include that like Mei was in the background, that she basically was the bodyguard for Mei Hatsume the entire time that there were twice clones running in, because that means she was just making bullets,
Mhm.
bullets, and like
I won't
doing everything in
lie.
her power to keep Mei safe.
On Leaks Nice, when we got that panel, when I woke up and I was reading through it, I thought for a second that was Rhodey because the hair, and I got so disappointed. And then I realized, why would he be there? But I'm really glad that Hatsume had like a little,
One too
cameo.
many multiverse adventures.
Yes, sir.
I
Also, go ahead, Will, go ahead.
I like I feel like I got volume 35 at the start of last month, or I think a little before that, end of August. And one of the extra notes said that Horikoshi had planned to turn UA into like a giant mech. So I mean that's sort of been fulfilled with like the floating UA, but I'm wondering if like May has something else crazy and the school is actually going to transform or something. I don't know.
I'm honest, I was hoping
Massive
for
cannon.
High school Megazord.
when Shiketsu was confirmed as like able to combine with UA. I was a little disappointed when it seemed like it just was a tram system. So
I'm sure Horikoshi himself was also disappointed. He
Oh.
said early on that he wanted this kind of mecha nonsense that you're thinking of. But
so I would love to see a mech combination come into play. I think it's a little unfortunate that Makia got murked by All for One instead, because that might have been the ideal situation to pull it out.
ooh, that would have been neat.
I kind
But-
of want the UA to transform into like an orbital cannon from GTA 5 or like shoot down on Shigaraki. That'd be fire.
So, but I don't think it's too late. I just think that it'll require some finagling to make pulling out the mech worth it. And I do kind of, so this is probably weird, but I kind of want to like get another check on some of these other battlefields. Like, cool, you're telling me that Shoto and Uraraka are passed out. I'm fine. They got to do a lot. Technically, Tokoyami got to do a lot too, but I do still want to get like an assessment, right? Because I don't think All for One deliberately one-shot everybody to the extent that they will be unconscious for the rest of the. I mean, like, it's possible he's got the power level to do it. I would just like that confirmation, because I would love to see like the Shiketsu kids maybe get picked up or something like
Yeah.
that, since they technically intercepted anyway. So, or maybe like see Shiketsu come flying by, and like that school having, going in the air, grabbing some other students, and then flying over, anything like that. Like, I know that the refugees were technically being sent to Shiketsu, but at this point,
Would the Kurogiri portals be the best time for that, or like the perfect opportunity?
it might
Yeah,
be.
that's what I think too. Like,
Because I don't see Uraraka, like obviously she needs her rest, but I kind of see her playing not a big part, like a huge part in the final battle, but I could see her like being awake to see Deku's moment.
yeah, I actually would like to see. I know that Horikoshi, the art exhibition scene, it's not necessarily something that happens in the manga for sure, but like at the very end of it, I still think it would be nice to see Uraraka catch Deku before he falls again, like
Mhm.
just at the literal very end. That would be neat.
Flashback, or not flashback, a nice callback to joint training where they're like floating down.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, wow.
it
Yeah,
would
that'd
be
be
neat
very
for the
sweet.
yeah, and yeah, of course, I agree. Kaminari probably should have at least one last moment. I think he and Momo can pull something off together, because we got to remember that regen is stalled by electricity. Like, I feel like there's no way Kaminari doesn't get one good shot in as well somewhere along the line.
There's
Not
still
to
a
mention electricity is fast enough to probably tag Shigaraki.
there's still a Zawa, Mike, and Kurogiri. So that's definitely going to come into play. Like I'm not sure specifically how, but
But that's the fun, yeah. It's like we
Yeah.
don't actually know. We know that there's one major shakeup coming by the very end, but we've no idea how it's gonna exactly wrap up. And I agree. I hope that gives us to 42 volumes. I think that's a good number for us. Just
42 feels very nice. Yeah.
I think, where are we at right now? We are about to have
Start of volume 40. We're
yeah, the start of
4 chapters into volume 40, but 399 is very short. So it's more like 3.
Yeah, it would be nice if like 40 and 41 more or less yeah, like I could honestly read a full volume of post story stuff.
And
honestly,
I think we're gonna get a decent amount of that, but remember, this is Jump. They don't do epilogue stuff.
yeah, and that really sucks. That really sucks.
I think we'll get 5 chapters, and we'll be lucky to get that.
Yeah.
Now, like I only read it in the volume, but from what I heard, like the epilogue chapter for Demon Slayer was like really awkward when it was first published.
Oh yeah.
There was like 2 chapters of Aftermath, and it sucked. You had 1 chapter of Aftermath, and then literally you have this epilogue that just like
It's straight up a time skip.
Yeah. I understand why she did it, but it just felt very off.
Yeah, that time skip epilogue just fell flat for me. Like I get what they were going for, but it just didn't really work how it was done.
I mean, you compare that to like Full Metal Alchemist. Well, Full Metal Alchemist was very smart with how it did its ending. Like in chapter 108, it's extended to like 100 pages. So like the first 20 is devoted to resolving all the stuff with Father. And then the rest is literally all wrap up and epilogue stuff. And it flows very, very well.
Yeah, I've only seen Brotherhood, so I imagine it was more or less the same though.
Yeah, it was more or less the same.
I was going to
But by
bring
the
Brotherhood
way-
like earlier. Like it,
By the way, I
it
still
genuinely
hold,
felt more satisfying than most shonen.
yeah. Which, by the way, I still hold that Brotherhood is better than 2003. I've seen some people kind of claim to the contrary. No,
Really?
I mean, the former was my first anime, but I don't have that much of attachment to it that I do with Brotherhood.
2003 is, I'm gonna be honest, I think the second half of Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 is very weak.
Well, I
don't
mean, that's when they had them. I mean, because like they're doing a year-long weekly anime off of a monthly manga that was still ongoing. So it's like
yeah, they basically made up their whole different stuff, but I didn't like the direction.
you didn't like what they came up with.
I feel like a lot of people kind of brush over a lot of the more ridiculous things in that show, like the freaking Terminator part was ridiculous.
I know they brought back Show Tucker. That's like the only thing about what, because I really haven't seen 2003.
Villains are also pretty aside from like Envy and a couple others, a lot weaker than Brotherhood in the manga. But
I mean, yeah. But let's see. I think Deku will get an awakening on all his quirks and being evolved to its max potential. I feel like Deku's already doing a lot. What I'm looking at here is kind of my estimation of this fight is that Deku was kind of holding out on using gear shift again. And when he decides to pull out gear shift is when we know that the fight's would be in its rapid phase. And I don't think Jump is in a position to get MHA out the door this quickly. Like, let me just for sake of discussion here, let's look at what we got in Jump right now.
JJK,
which is ending.
JJK, which sucks right now.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Let's see, you got Sakamoto Days, but Sakamoto Days doesn't have an anime, so it's not currently like racking up numbers like that for Shueisha.
Undead Unlock, they're getting
It's
an
about to
anime.
start its anime.
Yes.
Very excited for that.
We got Kagurabachi time, but like Mama Yu, Kagurabachi, these don't matter as far as like, not because they're good or bad, but because
They're so early on.
They're just super early.
Yeah,
There's the Elusive Samurai. Nobody talks about this series, but it obviously is at a functional level of success because it's on 127 chapters. Akane Banashi was a really good series. I just randomly stopped reading it. And then like I started looking at the chapter count as it went higher and higher. And I was like, oh shit.
So much.
Icehead Gill.
On its way out.
I dropped that shit.
I only heard about
it.
that today. Like I saw it jump
I
like
dropped that.
it out.
Yeah.
What is this?
Which series?
Icehead Gill.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh,
Ironically, about an axe.
Gray was recommending that to me, and I was like, dude, I have no idea what that is.
I read like the first 4 or 5 chapters, tried to give it a shot. I was like, this shit is dog water.
How have I not heard of this?
Did you guys see Do Retry?
Oh yeah, I read that one. That was not. I was like, it's a World War II boxing manga. It could be good. It could have some heart. And I was like, it's not good.
I will say about that one though, like the last page of that series, I saw it kind of made me start rooting for the author to have a hit on his third one.
Yeah, apparently he made Bone Collector too, and I need
Bone Collector
really?
is very bad. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I've
And then,
never
of
heard of
course, you
Icehead
have-
Jill till now. That's
No.
shocking.
And then of course you have One Piece, which is
What's
like-
that?
I feel like it's kind of like outside of Jump at this point, in a way.
Mhm.
Like I think only I think one series can only do so much. And I don't think One Piece is necessarily a lot of more recent manga, like Dan to Dan and other series, like they've actually been more inspired by like the likes of MHA, Chainsaw Man.
Yep.
Dan to Dan is actually drawn by a former assistant of Fujimoto. So like I find a lot of these series are taking inspiration from the newer generation. Once you take a closer look at them, I don't feel like One Piece is doing that anymore, because it's like, I mean, it's over 25 years old. Like you can only drive so many new creatives to. Anyway, what I'm basically saying is like I feel like One Piece is like kind of outside of like Jump's sphere of influence right now. Like, I think it's just kind of exceeded that point. You're gonna see it. I mean, the more we stretch out, it looks like we're probably gonna end 2030 or something. But yeah,
I could honestly see the end of One Piece being the end of Shonen Jump magazine as a physical publication.
really.
I personally think it would take a lot, and maybe some stuff is just really huge over in Japan that just hasn't clicked in the magazine, like in the magazine's audience over here. But a lot of the long running series aren't making a lot of noise. Like the longer running series aren't making a lot of noise currently. Like, even as a fan of Undead Unluck, I can acknowledge that it does not have a lot of noise online. The anime might change that, but it doesn't have a lot of noise.
Yeah, right now it's like mid tier, and that's not a knock on its quality. It's just what the reception is.
Mashal ended quietly. The anime aired. I don't know if it's still airing.
I think the season ended.
Mashal had like little to no impact during its anime season. You know, I like martial master Asumi, but it's not, you know, making waves, got people twerking on the internet, nothing like that. I mean, there's that Kill Blue manga. I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't even bothered to crack open a page. Me and Roboco is still going, but shit, nobody's buying the magazine for Me and Roboco. Let's be real.
What are you talking about?
How dare you disrespect peak fiction like that?
Did you know that like that fucking me and Roboco and Kagurabashi are carrying Jump?
Like, I've been reading the Ichinosei's Family's Deadly Sins, the entire run.
Oh, me too.
Has no noise.
Correct.
Like, most of the magazine just isn't making a splash these days. So I could see, like, as some of these shorter series are winding down, we see like some of the series that we do see making noise now, like Jiangxi X was making some noise for a while. My wife
That
likes
New
Wild
Age Exorcist
Strawberry.
thing?
New Age Exorcist is a Shonen Jump one. No noise for that. I
So-
read it, no noise, but I read
So
it.
honestly, I've seen a lot more hype for Jump Plus series.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that like the actual magazine is gonna cease publication, it's all gonna be Jump Plus.
I think that's kind of like where it seems to be heading to me. And they'll just put out physicals every now and then, like put out the volumes themselves for the series that are really well read, and just make their money off that instead of relying on advertising revenue. And the advertising revenue they do get will be via, like, you know, when they have anime stuff or whatever like that.
Apparently Tagashi tweeted that he's working on Hunter x Hunter again, so that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
saw
tweeted
that.
out. Mm-hmm.
All this is to say, I guess, that the chances of MHA having a slightly longer than normal epilogue, maybe not
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Now that we're really going over it, I mean, JJK was going to end this year, and basically Gege's editors came in and was like, "Nah, don't do that. You guys should just out a little." And I think some of it is stalling for time, but I think with Horikoshi as well, they're very glad to give him constant breaks because that keeps it in the magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good for
like-
himself and for the weekly
Yeah.
experience.
MHA is in the next week's issue, but it's the one after that. Please buy that one. You know, and honestly, like Hunter x Hunter also got taken off the main Jump roster. If you guys saw
Yeah.
that, it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be, it's probably
Yeah.
gonna be Jump Plus from now on.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were gonna like maybe move with the Jump Plus or maybe
Bless
just
you.
or
Thank you.
You've also got Black Clover, which of course was absolutely holding up the magazine for years, and there was no other supports, and that's been shuffled off to Jump Giga now. And I just find we're in such a different landscape with anime. It's like with digital and new creators, like I also read a little bit of like a new manga by the writer of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and that actually looks pretty fire. A lot of the ways we consume manga is just very different now, and I feel like Jump is they've been very focused on like their big series as kind of like brand names and pillars. Like, I'm gonna tell you this right now. It's like, even if MHA ends and it has the perfect ending that Horikoshi envisioned and yada yada yada, that's not gonna last forever. You're gonna see some sort of MHA spin-off or continuation or whatever in the future. Like, it's simply too big.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
the
the
same
reality
thing-
is that he's not the sole owner of the series at this
Yeah.
point. So
My
yeah,
Hero
I can
Magic.
see some
To
kind
really
of
simplify it, he owns half of it. The other half is owned by Shueisha and the production committee. Like, there's a team that manages MHA, as there are teams that manage all the other series. Like, if you want, like, I know people rag on Bones for like certain changes made in the show. That was not Bones. That was the production committee coming in saying, okay, we have a specific brand that we want to promote. You can't do this. You can't make MVA longer than 5 or 6 episodes. You got to cut that down. So that's why it ended up how it did. JJK has a team. One Piece has a team. They all have coordinator. There's a lot of fingers in the pie. Basically, it's just how it works.
and yeah, speaking of JJK and their anime, apparently Mappa pretty hard with JJK, forcing like animators to sign a NDA prohibiting them from complaining about the working conditions.
Yeah. It's just terrible. And it's like, it's why I roll my eyes whenever people keep bringing up like, oh, MHA should have been animated by Mappa. MHA animated by Mappa would still be in the middle of overhaul. Like, they just, like,
I'm gonna be
people don't,
honest.
people
I've
don't
said-
really- sorry, go ahead.
No, I've said this before, but like all the moments that you love from the My Hero anime, your Deku versus Muscular, your All Might versus All for One. Sure, it may look in your eyes prettier and more flashy, but it won't be the same.
No, you won't have, you probably won't have Umakoshi. You wouldn't have Nakamura.
Mhm.
You wouldn't have Hayashi. You wouldn't have a lot of these guys that make the show what it is. Haruka Ida, who's really been putting work at the last couple seasons. I also love her work on the show. She directed I think she directed, was it the Hawks versus Twice? If not direct, she did a lot of work on that. She also did a lot of cuts for the different endings. I know she's in charge of a lot of chakra cuts. And I really like her work on that. So it's like people just have this, like, they think with media it's just like kind of like they do some sort of kind of magic, and like it just sort of like appears as you want it to. And that's not how anything is made. It takes a very long time, step by step. There's a lot involved in the process, you know. And it's like, the show would not, like, I think the show would have anticipation at first, but like as things would get dragged out and as time would go on, I don't think it would necessarily have held the same interest that the show does now. Because asking Mappa to do 7 seasons of a series that is this detailed, I don't think they can do it with how they operate. Not without like suffering through some severe. You think patches of the episodes look rough as they are now? It would probably look a lot stiffer in Mappa's version.
Like
Like,
the big. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Did you guys see Hell's Paradise, the anime?
I saw. I didn't finish it, not because I didn't like it, but because I just got busy and I haven't had time to go back
I saw
around to
other
it.
people see it.
Yeah. Okay, so that show was like very pretty, very clean. It was also very sterile, kind of flat. And I haven't finished it myself, but I saw a clip and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need more than just a couple out of context clips to say it's trash. But then I watched more of the show and I couldn't finish it because I was like, oh wow, this really is kind of monotone. It wasn't really dynamic, like whatever you want to say about MHA. It's MHA when you look at a lot of those when you look at stills or clips.
Blue Sky.
Yes, the Blue Sky. Like, it's MHA. If you show me a random shot of Hell's Paradise, like the character, okay, the character designs are pretty distinctive, but like if you show me shots of the backgrounds, I probably would not be able to place it at first. Like, it's not like a lot of it was very flat. And I feel like people just kind of associate like some pretty effects and compositing with something that looks nice. And like there's more to it than that, Like I think it works for something like Demon Slayer, but I don't think that style should stretch across all anime. It's kind of the same mentality as the people who like make all those shitty 60 FPS edits and it just looks terrible. And people are like, oh, well, it looks better. It's like, no, it doesn't.
It looks so uncanny valley.
Yeah, it looks so bad. It looks so stretched out. And the reason people keep doing that is beyond me. I don't know. Like, I mean, it works for a video game because like you're constantly receiving input information that you need to input how you need to input your buttons and your keys. But for an entirely passive experience, that doesn't really work. And you're going to notice it. And especially for animation where each frame is drawn, to have that suddenly like kind of smooth together, that's not going to work. That doesn't look right. So anyway, that's like my long rant over.
My favorite joke about the whole Mappa thing is like if Mappa had My Hero Academia, the only differences, all the memes and jokes would include clips and images from there about how they treat their workers.
There'd be a bunch of jokes about like the animator's arms, very similar to Deku's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like like heroes hurt their families to help people they don't even know, and they can just like rearrange some words there, and you like animators and entertain instead of heroes and help. It's
Yeah, I am glad that I haven't heard anything like that with regards to Bones. I mean, I know that they've had their production schedule issues, but
I mean,
like in terms of just toxic environment, I haven't seen the complaints from the animators, or even like the directors. Like I saw a tweet from the director at Mappa openly just saying, "What are you gonna do? Fire me?" Like,
you need me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
Jeez.
I mean, and that's not to say it doesn't happen. That they could just be better at hiding it, which is another thing. Because corporations are not your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're tax designations first and foremost. It's
So I'm
funny, like you
gonna-
look it up and it's like, oh, I could incorporate myself for under $100 depending on your state. It's
Mhm.
weird.
Speaking of like these corporations aren't your friends, I've seen a lot of people go like ride or die for their like favorite studios or mangaka, especially with the whole like it was Gege came out and said like something along the lines of me when I talk to people who have better art than my manga, and just seeing how people go to war, just shitting on the person who tweeted that out, being like, "Oh, even Gege acknowledges that the art style is shit."
Yeah, I just
Yeah, that was kind of that was just mean spirited. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
like,
mean, it's
I'm
Like,
not
if you want to
super-
see bad art, give me a pen and paper right now. I'll show you some bad art. You know,
Yeah.
and, like, I'm not super thrilled with Gege's art, but like he still draws better than I do. And it's like it's
Mhm.
just, and more than that, even if like I did draw better, it's just presumptuous to say like, oh, this person's art is shit. Like it's just like it's
I'll-
just
it's awful.
I'll take it a step further and say that Gege's art style, I think, has some of the best motion conveyance.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a master of his craft when it comes to his fights, and I
So,
appreciate
like-
about Gege.
I think
look-
it's okay in terms of like art. You can have standards. I think people are like sometimes offended at the idea of standards, but like having standards doesn't mean like you have to make it like personal. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess some people, especially if you're an artist, you might take it personally, but like people have tastes and people have quality expectations. I don't necessarily think Gege's style is particularly high quality, but I think that it is a unique style and it has appeal. It's it doesn't particularly impress me, but I mean it's certainly more than acceptable for Jump standards.
I'm not the biggest fan of his art style. Like I vastly prefer the anime, but that doesn't stop me, or like I'm not going to take that and shit on Gege's art when it's clear like he's number one, he's a good artist. Number two, he puts a lot of like time and effort into each chapter, and it's okay to not like it while also respecting Gege as an artist and a human. Because all you're doing is just showing that number one, you're immature, and two, why are you being so cruel? It's just
Like,
art.
This is a weekly serialization. Like it's like the Horikoshi people like Horikoshi are the outlier in what they're able to put out like this. So like yeah, like
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think there's a reason to be. I mean, the thing is that art is what is captivating at the end of the day. About individual series, like the art goes such a long way, so it's hard to like completely dismiss it or dismiss like whatever quality issues may or may not be there or stylistic issues, whatever. Like, because I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, people are drawn to art, but at the same time, it's like there's still a realm of subjectivity to it, and it's not done under ideal conditions either. Like, it's still a weekly series, so I don't see a reason to be overly harsh in terms of that. And yeah, no, I think Gege has delivered some pretty iconic panels and art as well in his own right.
If you guys just saw that face I made, it's because I was reading Yosakura Spy Family, and I just got hit with a wild panel.
Wait, let me see. It's a new chapter.
Yeah.
Okay, let me track that. Let me see what you mean.
We'll get there,
Yosakura. Where is it?
I always say Yosakura Spy Family, but it's Mission Yosakura Family.
Yeah. Okay. Page 1, page 2, page 3. It's not the cat. No. Is it the yes, he? No, I don't think that would.
You'll know.
President. Oh, what? That's giving me flashbacks to when I saw Pepe from Thousand Year Blood War. We need to stop. Mangakas should stop this.
That's right, Jeannie. Let him know.
This Yozakura family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like on the 12th page or something.
Yeah, it's page 12.
Oh, this ruined my entire day.
What? The, what?
Oh my god.
I don't read the series, so I can only imagine what the guy.
I don't think you have to read the series to know this is weird.
All right. But we shall reconvene in 2 weeks, I say. Also, I gotta say, the fandom randomly like posted that Momo like was tripping about like Horikoshi drawing Momo, and I'm very confused about what was offensive about this one.
But which one?
The Momo picture where she's got the guns and stuff on her, because I'm like,
Really?
I'm like, what's
There's
there to
two
trip about
reasons. There's two reasons.
here? Like,
It's the fandom. You like it's right there. Of course, they're gonna complain about those two reasons.
like, there's nothing horny about this image though. Like, she walked up covered in guns and shields. Like, bro, like, how did you turn this into
There's a small tear on her leotard, a couple scars.
like
Well, yeah, she's fighting.
was her outfit supposed to go completely unscathed? Like, I don't.
I think it's just the way she was drawn. I think just people found issue with it, which I mean, it's fair. Like if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. That's fine.
Sometimes I think people find themselves randomly attracted to stuff, like it awakens something in them, and they take it out on artists.
It awakens
I mean,
the
like-
two wolves.
She's a busty girl. It's like she's drawing her how she's going to look. Like, I don't know. This kind of reminds me of the Mirko
one-
shot from POW.
Yeah, where somebody zoomed in on her gooch and was like, "Oh my goodness, look at this!" And every like some of the most horny people on the planet didn't even notice it because the shot itself was not about that. Like every now and then, people do kind of like give themselves away, where it's weird. Like I think it's like you're just looking for this, huh?
I think it's mixed feelings, honestly, in general, because on one hand, I don't think people are wrong for noticing when people are obviously sexualizing stuff, like oh, how dare you actually notice that we are drawing these women this way? It's like, I mean, you're at some point it's this weird like deflection thing to me, but on the same time it's like, well, okay, you like there's both culture and context in it, and also like you don't have to watch. So
Well, especially with this one in the Miracle example, it's just like,
oh yeah, no, I never would have
it was like,
but the thing is like how Japanese animators do this, like this is not like, it's not the only time
I mean,
this has happened, and it won't be the only time this kind of thing has happened. It's funny. I remember seeing episode previews, like animators will sneak stuff in, just random stuff here or there that it doesn't even always make sense when they do it. But like,
yeah,
I mean, a lot of ecchi stuff is actually drawn by women. The person who started all that whole movement, Rumiko Takahashi, if I'm saying her name right, she started that whole wave. That was her. So,
I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, in a system where it's like you want to do what you can to make money, it doesn't really matter who starts it. Quite frankly, I mean, I get it. Like, there's context to it.
I mean,
like,
it's just.
I'm not saying it's not
I've said
different.
this before, though. It's like it's just part of the culture, and I feel like I feel like people are having trouble accepting that like a lot of the standards in Japanese media are just inherently different from how we approach it, and even our media has sexualized has done a lot of that type of sexualization of teenage characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
So
just
it's like I just find it like there are times where it's definitely egregious, but it's like so much of this discussion where this dress up darling or whatever, and it's like I just don't care. I'm gonna be honest, I don't give a shit. Like I see all these people like raise a big fuss about it. It's like it doesn't fucking matter. Nobody's gonna care about this. You care about it because you're very hypersensitive about it and you're looking for it. And yes, sometimes it is just in your face and stupid. But at the same time, I don't care. I really don't give a shit. And like
We do not care.
like yeah, and like people acting like everybody should give a shit. It's like it's just somebody drew some boobs a certain way in a manga. Okay, wait, what do you expect me to say to that? It's like, okay, well, it's just part of the series. It can be egregious, it can be over the top, but I just do not care for the most part.
To me, it's like you got to pick which things to flip out about ultimately, because like there's Fire Force levels, and then there's what was in this chapter where it's like that's just a girl.
Dude, I'm reading Air Gear
Like,
and like I'm liking it, but you know,
yeah, no, I know.
the fan service in this series,
No,
it makes the fan service in this series makes Fire Force look like it's very looks very tame by comparison.
yep. Like it's just
And these are characters even younger than the characters in MHA, but they're drawn like they're 20 years old. I'm like, wow.
Air Gear is like a one that I read in high school, childhood staple. Love the shit, love the power system, how insane it gets. But yeah, no, it's like egregious.
I mean, wait, so Cameron said if Hagakure was male, no one on Twitter would complain. I do think people would complain, but it wouldn't be to this extent. Because obviously, we have a lot of people who are very vocal about the Class 1A girls who then turn around and go, oh, it's okay for,
yeah,
the
no, an
boys.
invisible
Right?
man is like threatening in the almost opposite direction. Okay. Just like
Honestly,
I'm just thinking about how Mineta exists, and it's like, okay, now what if Mineta was invisible?
All
Like,
for one,
The
ain't wearing
Sanji
underwear.
discourse is coming back.
All for one,
honestly,
ain't wearing underwear right now.
this just took me back to the discussion that I remember that I had around Atsushi, where people were talking about like Atsu Babe and all this other stuff, and I was like, all right, yeah, see, now it's getting weird. You got fucking 15-year-olds in your GC calling you Atsu Babe. And then I remember I said, somebody who has two shirtless teenagers hugging each other as their banner isn't really anyone I'm interested in listening to on what's appropriate for an adult to be doing in a GC with minors.
I
And they changed
remember.
their
yeah,
banner.
no, there's a lot of hypocrisy and stuff to go around. I think my thing with it is that like there's obviously this push to say that sexuality is normal, and obviously it is normal. It's just like the thing is that not everyone has to be comfortable with it the degree with which other people are comfortable with it. Like it's a very sticky issue. So like I don't like going overly judgmental on either side of this coin, because it's like, well, it is that kind of thing. Like not everyone can or should be comfortable with that. Like that's
I'm just impressed.
gross territory,
that
kind
I'm
of.
like, man, this is not the moment I would have chosen to be angry about. Like,
Right. No, I agree. Like
Yeah.
at some point it is what it is, right? So
Like-
like I'm not.
yeah, it's like I'm like,
So like you can't like literally freak out over every single thing. Like for one, there's just too much, and for two, it's like, okay, yeah, you get numb to it for better or worse. So
yeah, there's also so for me, it's like you can't react to every single thing with the same caliber, because not every single thing deserves that level of. It's just not a healthy way to live. Like if you take everything to level 10 freak out,
Like,
You're
like
gonna have
even
a bad
with
time. Like it's just not good for you. Like don't do that to yourself.
yeah. No, like I would just the thought just occurred to me. Even with shojo, it's like the reason you have these kind of gross age gaps. It's because like the target audience is a young girl who would like who has an ideal vision of a guy, and that guy is typically older. So it's like you get that weird fancy. Like the target audience influences the how the sexes are portrayed and the relationships they have. It's
Mhm.
that's why you see obviously a lot of sexualized women in shonen regardless of their age. It's because it's targeting young men. So it's there's a point to where it is what it is. Anyway, I don't want to leave on that note, but I do have to leave soon. Can I get my final thoughts?
This is the wrap up anyway, so yeah.
Okay, good. But yeah, so no, this was an excellent chapter. Actually, I think my thoughts echo much of what Kendra said, like just because it's a cliffhanger, like we're just kind of on a cliff here, waiting for to see how the what happens to All Might. So I will say whether he lives or dies, I think Horikoshi obviously is plenty capable of working with it. That's kind of what makes this so exciting. It's like he can really go many ways whether he lives or dies. So I really am just in anticipation for it. I do want a Bakugo moment to happen soon. Like I think like just as much as I'm kind of anticipating Deku versus Shigaraki, I think Bakugo should like do something like just before the fight ends. Like I don't want him to like overly be overly involved. Don't get me wrong, but I think like his character is also owed something because it is weird to me for him to just job to Shigaraki and that's it. So I don't see that happening. So whether he shows up here next week or following like right after, I think both moments can be good because I think he is the character that can do the most damage to All for One. Theoretically at least, assuming his part surgery finishes. Anyway, so just seeing All Might give his all is always really emotional. So I do want him to live. I'm biased in that regard, but I'm willing to see where Horikoshi takes it. And Deku just going through it, just I can't imagine his pain and suffering. And honestly, Horikoshi, the way he draws emotions is always so captivating. Like when you see a character screaming their heart out, you are there with them. So my goodness. Similarly, All for One and Shigaraki's dynamic is really interesting, and I'm always amused to see Shigaraki stick his finger to All for One. Like that was great. So all in all, strong chapter. And the next chapter is undoubtedly going to be even stronger, I think. So looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys. As always, it's fun talking with
Glad to
you.
have you.
Stay safe.
Likewise.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's go with Joseph.
All right. Well, first I want to shout out that one panel of All for One when with the bro really expression when Shigaraki fights back against the warp, because that is just a perfect expression, and I would like emote when. But this was a fantastic chapter. Kind of sucks that we have to wait 2 weeks to find out what happens next, but it's a perfect cliffhanger for that's for sure. Now if this is the end for all, like I'm of two minds. Like I want him to live, but I wouldn't be heartbroken if he didn't. So in that regard, if this is the end, at least it was on screen.
Yep. Both.
Okay. This was a heartbreaking chapter. I really did. The more I think about it, the more it feels like this is it for All Might. I can see him living, but the way things were framed. I also did think Bakugo was going to stay dead, but comparing the two situations, there are some differences, and the way things were set up. I just feel like this is very in character a way for All Might to go out, and like he's more than done his job. Like he's made sure that All for One is further held back. And he will still be around. It can still be around in vestige form to see Deku do his big "I'm here" moment. Anyway, as far as Bakugo goes, we'll see what happens. I don't really want him flipping around like some people do. Like I don't. I think after like he has a hole in his chest, even if like the heart is sutured, I don't necessarily want that. But I do want to see some more out of the people on UA. I want to see other characters. I want to see Sarah's moments. Also, I do want to mention that Ochako is very arguably the MVP of this whole arc so far, because I mean, Shoto did stop Dabi's explosion, but not only did Ochako stop the twice threat at Gunga, which was just as big of a problem, if not more so, she also solved the problem at UA with all the twice clones and saved all the people there. So I think she's had the biggest impact this arc so far, but we're definitely right at Deku's big moment. I really can't wait. Whatever excuses they have to keep this thing in the magazine as long as possible, I'm completely okay with it. This looks to be like a really strong finish. Horikoshi's just been on fire ever since he brought Shigaraki back. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the end of this series. I hope we reach 42 volumes like Dragon Ball. It also feels like a very nice number to end on. And yeah, go beyond plus ultra.
Thomas?
So I've said everything I wanted to say, but there's a few things. Number one, I mentioned last week that sure, we can go back and forth, we can argue about the series, we can say what we like, we can say what we dislike or nitpicks, but we don't have much My Hero left. Of course, we have spin-offs, we have the anime, we have movies, but the main manga, like Horikoshi's like this is what he has his hand in like 90% of the time. It's almost done, especially now that like Uraraka is kaput, the same with Shoto, the twice clones are gone, Kurogiri is somewhere out there. Like we're nearing the end, maybe in another 20 to 30 chapters. I agree with Volk, whatever excuse to like keep My Hero in the magazine for as long as possible, I'll take. Even if we have a break, well, we do. I'm taking it because I need as much time as I can get with this manga. Because once it's gone, I'm gonna be a husk of a man. Overall, I think the chapter is phenomenal. I think like if this is the end of All Might, which I'm on camp, All Might, is gone. Sorry, Kendra. Sorry, Seth. This has been the perfect ending. Like the vestige disappearing, All for One giving that final the final explosion that Vegeta did esque. I'm just excited. Maybe I'm not excited about next chapter next because seeing sad Deku breaks my heart. But like people said, sadness and suffering brings growth. I don't know. Man, I love My Hero so much. But yeah, that's it. I saw a lot of people complaining about the All Might Rising copy paste. I have no issue against it. Not at all. Nice callback, especially the last Nana moment where you will fall to All Might because he is more unhinged than you. Fucking amazing. But yeah, overall, great chapter. Like I say, every week, stay safe, drink water, eat your foods, get some sleep. And also, you're right, Coyote. I have been eating well this entire arc or this entire section. But yeah, that's it. So yeah.
All right, thank you to everybody that came through. Appreciate everybody. I'm looking forward to the chapter. I do believe that this is the official end of the era. I'm gonna go make sure this baby's happy because she's been throwing a fussy fuss for the past 10 minutes. Yeah, that's right, Princess Fussy Butt. They know. The whole world knows now that you bully your parents. Yeah, they know you're a bully. What you got to say for yourself? Yeah. So yeah. So I'm gonna go hang out with my daughter. Thank you to everybody who came through. Appreciate everybody and appreciate the work that Horikoshi puts in. I'm in the same boat as Volk. I'm expecting at least 42 volumes and for it to go a bit longer. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the 10-year anniversary. And the fallout of this is probably going to bring about some interesting discourse, of course, but I'm also just looking forward to the return of Bakugo at this point because I think the tragedy of the master-student relationship between Deku and All Might is going to hurt, but I also think Bakugo fully realizing how much he's missed out on with All Might because of his own pride is going to be a bigger blow than the idea of just losing him would have been. And I've always said that I feel like Bakugo has the bad luck of the average main character, while Deku has some of the good luck features, but still the struggles of some. So it'll be interesting to see both these boys grow. Hey you, let me do the outro. Let me do the outro. Ooh, let me do the outro. Yeah. Okay.
For a change, let her do the outro.
What you got to say, Jeannie? Did you like the chapter?
Spit.
I didn't think of it like that. That's a good point.
All right, look at you bringing new perspective. All right, so